It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate, go your own way, I won't
Bring the funk back.
G'day everyone, it must be Wednesday night. Obviously we are Chewin the Fat again. Last week I was out at the dam, so we did a live cross. I hope it all worked. I haven't even had time to go back in and see if the mobile broadband worked its treat. We did fish the comp on the weekend and I want to go in that in greater detail tonight. We have plenty of prizes to give away on tonight's show. We're not just going to give away the normal two. We have Harry's box later on tonight. We also have the postcode prize, so keep whacking your postcodes in there. And we have some more stuff to give away throughout the show as well. So make sure it is interactive. I don't have a guest on tonight because I didn't have enough time to get somebody organised after getting back from the team's fishing comp on the weekend. So let's make this as interactive as what we can, and we'll answer any of your questions if you got. Doesn't have to be cod based, or it doesn't even have to be the tournament on the weekend. I'll try and answer any questions you've got. We've got a heap on, so give a few shout outs straight up. We've got Daniel, Christy, David, Ryan, we've got Danny, Jacob, Kevin, Leon, Scott, Trent, Luke, Harry. Oh, g'day, Harry. Shane, Glenn, Joel, Luke, Daniel, Steve, and Trent. So we've got a heap on. So as I said, get your questions in. I will answer those questions as I go. But I have been doing a little bit of research on the comp from the weekend. So for those people that weren't aware, the Teams Fishing Australia Boats and More Native Classic, it's a mouthful, but it's held now. This is I think it's the third year. It's been held at Lake Mulwala, and another great event. But I have got some stats to go through for you from the weekend, and quite amazing to go over. So there was because of COVID and everything else, numbers have been up and down for the last couple of years, but 29 teams this year attended the Boats and More Classic to 45 last year. So big difference in the numbers of fishermen out on the water. But the interesting thing is the amount of fish that were caught. So if you compare them up, last year there was only 73 yellers caught for the 3 days of fishing. This year there was 114. So less fishermen, more fish, which is really cool. And the size was just enormous in the fish that were caught. But with the cod, they were down a little bit in the comparison. As I said, last year 45 teams for 254 cod caught. This year 29 teams for 300 cod caught. So all these are available on the website at Teams Fishing Australia, so you can look them up. But I thought that was interesting. Less fishermen, more fish, and it shows that last year, even with 45 teams, there was only the top 5 teams that actually caught their full bag of 10 fish, which was 5 yellers and 5 cod. Whereas in this year, there was 14 of the 29 teams caught their bag. So fishing was really cool. Now let's go through. We'll just looking to see if there's some. There's some questions in there, so I'll get to them as I go through. Last year there was 4 meter long cod and a 98 caught, so very close to those bigger fish at the top end last year than this year. There was only 3 meter long fish caught for the weekend. And I've got to give some shout outs. Day 1, Michael Steinhaus with a 117. So that was a big start for them on day 1. Day 2, it slowed down a little bit. There was no meteries caught, but Katie Polton caught her PB with a 90.5. And day 3, of course, the last day, Kate and Derek had to do some catch up to try and catch up to the skiers boys or Loomsy's Fish and Fix. And he tried his hardest, cracking a monster cod of 120. So that was absolutely massive fish to be caught on the 3rd day of a comp. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll get Cade on to talk about how they went. And hopefully I can get the skiers boys or Loomsy on, and we'll talk to them on how they went as well. So there's some huge stats for you. So I'll just bring it up on the screen just so you can see it. So this is the Teams Fishing Australia web page. That's the one you're looking for, and it's got all the stats on the fish here. So you can find out how it goes. That's this year's scores. All right. So if you look at the top there, Loomsy's Fish and Fix out on 664 points. To KD Fishing, which was Derek and Cade on 652. I'm going to drop down a little bit to Cod Fingers, which is Kyle Dalrymple, Brad Murray, and Simon Tate. And Jigheads, Brad Gardner, Warren Gardner, and Neil Hodges moving up the ladder on the last day for a 575. Rounding out the top 5, nothing but treble, Alex McKenzie, Lawrence Perks, and Michael Steinhaus with their 10 fish of 564. So, as you can see there, all the stats is quite cool. You can follow it live, but all the stats are on there. You scroll right down, you can see how all the teams went, where they went with the yellers and cod in red, yellers in blue, of course. And then you can go look at the biggest cod and how they went. So, Cade with his 120, Michael with his 117. Then Brendan had a 101. And working their way down. But the another impressive fact from the weekend, we scroll down through the cod and look at the size of the yellows. So there's a lot of yellows there that were bigger than what people were catching cod for, especially me. So if you look at Looms, he caught a 60 centimetre. Brad Murray, what have we got? Brad Murray and Neil Hodges both got 58s. You got Cade and Kyle with 57.5. So there was some cracking yellows caught over the weekend during the comp. So if you've got any questions on them and how to catch yellows over the next few weeks, hopefully I can get Cade or Derek on and the Skiers boys or Loomsy on, and we'll have a chat about how that all works out. All right. Get myself back up here, and we're going to start going through some questions. So make sure you get your questions in. As I said, it'll be a very, very short show if if you don't ask any questions for me to answer. So get them in. Don't worry about what they are. I'll try and answer them as I can. So we'll start off with Daniel. Daniel Wallace has got one. What's your favourite all-time cod lure? Well, all-time cod lure favourite, I suppose, we've talked about this before, but I think you can't really go past the good old-fashioned stumpy. You know, so if I had to pick one that I could only fish with for the rest of my life, it'd probably be a stumpy. There are plenty of lures out there, and you know, they go in and out of fads, but stumpies have been around for a long time, Daniel. So you use them in the creeks, the rivers, the dams, it doesn't really matter. As a hard body, and hard bodies aren't a thing that I'm totally used to. I've only sort of got back into them over the last 3 years of moving down here. Christy, highlight from the weekend. Well, there was a few highlights for, not necessarily for me, but seeing that 120 come out for young Cade and how close the top end was. I think it was really, really good comp in that sense that, like last year, the Loomsy's Fishing Fix had it wrapped up day one. We all knew they were going to win it. We were all fishing for second place. Well, this year it was different. Everyone was still in the running coming into the last day. So that would have been definitely my highlight, that 120 coming out, especially on day 3. So amazing stuff from Cade. That would have been my highlight from the weekend. Apart from Nelson, my fishing partner, who was on the show last week, walked away with a lucky door prize, and he won a HDS Live 12 unit just for turning up. So $5,500 worth of unit as the lucky door prize. So he was pretty happy, even though we finished outside the checks by a couple of points. He walked away with a really nice sounder. So that's as hard as it is. Get your entries in, turn up to the comp, and you can still walk away with some really great prizes. All right, we'll keep going down the questions. As I said, put them in, give us the questions, because we want to make it as interactive as what I can. Not every week I can get guests on. It is quite hard to stitch people up for live shows, especially at 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, I'll keep the questions coming in, and I'll keep answering them for you as long as I can. As I said, we will be giving a postcode prize away. We've got a prize in the middle of the show as well, and then we'll do Harry's picker box at the end of the show. We've already given away over $1,000 worth of gear out of the picker box in 5 weeks. So there's been some really cool prizes go out of that. But for those that don't know how it is, you get the choice. You've got to be on to win it. But if you're drawn out, you get the choice of what Harry's actually drawn out or what's in the lucky box. So you'll have to choose a live on air for that one. All right. Shane, yes, no, I didn't bring all my jocks home from the weekend. It was a scary incident. You would see it up on my Facebook. I've actually ended up, thanks for that question, Shane. I've actually ended up closing comments on that because it's created a war between the fishermen and the skiers, and copping a fair flogging on there. So I just turned all the comments off on it. It was, as I said, nobody's fault, but a very scary thing to go through. And yeah, I left those jocks at home, and I'm pretty sure Ryan and Nelson need a new set of jocks. We took, it did rattle us. We did take a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, that is on my Facebook page. We come a little bit too close to a ski boat, but all in all, we live to fight another day. We've got Galvo on. Obviously, the tournament director does a wonderful job with these comps. And yes, not to mention, that's only the fish that were, so what Galvo is saying there is that's only the fish that were entered into the app itself. If you'd already caught your 5 fish and you caught a smaller one, you didn't enter it in the app, so you'd let it go straight away. So, you know, you can only estimate how many other fish. We caught heaps of fish after we'd caught our bag that wouldn't upgrade. So, yeah, there was excess of 500 fish, he's saying there, caught in the comp. Jenny, yes, the drawdown has definitely started at Mulwala. I'm of strong belief that it actually started on the weekend. On pre-fish day, we had a cracking pre-fish day. The water through the Bundalong cut through where the Murray and the Ovens meet there actually came to a standstill about halfway through pre-fish day, and everywhere we went around that area, we caught yellers on pre-fish day. So we thought we had a really good plan nutted out. We were quite confident on catching our yellers and then going to, you know, do the standard thing, scoping for some cod. But what happened to us when we got up there on Saturday morning, the water had actually dropped about 6 inches overnight. So they did say that they were starting on Monday, but obviously some of the gates, or they've opened a channel, or what they've done, but it started to drop. And if you are looking at getting to Mulwala, I would suggest to get there in the next couple of weeks, because the fishing should be red hot. So yes, the official drawdown started Monday, and it will be getting lower and lower. There's people on the show I know that are watching here, and they'll be in Mulwala, so they'll probably be able to give us an update week by week and tell us how the levels are. So you can still get your boats in at the moment. It won't be until sort of the end that you won't be able to get your boats in, but yeah, that's the way it goes. All right. Luke Scott, what lure caught the most fish on your boat on the weekend? Yeah, good question, Luke. For us, as I said, on pre-fish day, we caught a stack of yellers, and we caught them quite easily and caught cod as a bycatch. And we were just throwing small bassman spinnerbaits on pre-fish day. That sort of closed down for us where we were. We were also we tried vertical grubbing, and that wouldn't work. We worked on a ZX 35 or a ZX 40 vertical with the shake and bake, or just the hop off the bottom. And we were catching yellers doing that as well. Come comp day or day one, we didn't adjust well enough. We went to all those spots, they didn't work. It took us all day. We did mega kilometres right up the back of the to the boundaries of the Ovens, and it's a long run from the start line, thinking that we could catch our 5 yellers, get back down. That didn't work. But on comp day itself, we found that the TN60, either solo or the TN60 with a beetle spin, was the go-to lure for us to catch our yellers in the end. So we're very lucky to stumble across that. We had a couple of other teams, which was great, that shared some information to help us catch our last yeller, because we only had 4 coming into the last day. But TN60 with the beetle spin, or a TN60 just thrown to the edge up in the rivers, seemed to work a treat. We caught lots of cod as bycatch as well. So I hope that answers your question, Luke. All right, we've still got plenty of postcodes coming in. David wants to know a question about Byron jocks. So, David, I'll refer that question. I've actually never fished Byron jock, but in general, I'll give you a brief, and then you can sort of go and work it out from there. I'll get the skiers boys on Anderson in a couple of weeks, and we'll revisit your question for you. But I would say, like most dams across the board, springtime is the time to fish for yellows, and a good go-to lure. I'd be looking at a jerk bait, or the plain old Berkeley grub with the shake and bake technique. But if I was having to guess, and it would only be a guess because I don't think I've fished Burrinjuck for years, so but I would think definitely a jerk bait up into the weed, ZX40 blade of some sort, or a light jig head with a Berkeley Gulp 3-inch curly tail. Awesome question. So he wants to know, do I ever fish handcraft timber lures? The easy answer, Scott, is yes, if I can get my hands on them and they're not too expensive. I tend to, fish in some pretty snaggy areas and whatnot. And with the handcrafted stuff, it becomes quite expensive. If you look on the wall behind me here, I've got some of Ray Broughton's RTBs that I've got to give away later on in the year. But yeah, they work very, very well, both on yellow-bellied cod and some of those little ones on flathead as well. So it's up to the. I have used in the past some of the genetic lures from Ricky Goward, but most of the cod dog stuff now is not handcrafted, so I can't help out with that, other than if I see somebody at a local market and they look good, yeah, I'll throw them for sure. Jeff's asked the same question as was asked earlier on about the go-to lure for the yellows on the weekend. TN60 with a beetle spin, TN60 by itself, and the ZX35 or 40. Color for us didn't really matter. I was throwing purples, and Ryan was throwing brown dogs, and Nelson was throwing everything else. So we worked as a team for that one. So I hope that answers your question, Jeff, if you weren't on earlier on. Good question, Shane, again with the yellows. I know we concentrated on the upper arm, sort of, the what would be classed as river area where you can see banks on both sides. We weren't out in the dam. The guys that caught the big ones were out in the dam. I think they were mid dam sort of ski lands across to the other side around that area. So they were catching them there, and we'll get some answers of them. But for us, I didn't find any schooled up fish at all. They were all individual fish, and we were able to either scope them or just power fish a bank, and it didn't matter which bank it was. You could get yellows anywhere. You just had to cover ground. So we tended to fish reasonably fast in the end. I have got a video release of all our catches that I caught on camera. My camera's played up over the weekend, but all the fish that I did catch on camera, and you'll see that we did catch a lot at the first sort of bundle along corner. We were there for a lot cod and yellows in that corner. So they weren't schooled up, no, is the easy answer to that question for you, Shane. Brad's got there, did anyone in the top 10 not have live scoping technology? Let's have a look. I think Garbo's on, or he was on watching earlier on. He might be able to help with that, but I think Lucy, KD's, Kyle, Brad's team, nothing treble had. Lock Drags. I don't know if Lock Drags had it. Blade and Tails did. Jones Doyle, no, Ricky Doyle wouldn't have been using it. Real Chase. So I'd say there might be one or two in there, but Galvo will probably answer that in the comments later on. Last year we didn't have scope, and we still come fifth, but I'm a strong believer in, in that sense, especially with this sort of comp. Yeah, when you've caught your bag, you only want to upgrade, and scoping is able to target bigger fish. Not that helped us, but we're able to target bigger fish. So, Yeah, I'll try and get that answer for you, Brad, for sure. Trent, are there any uncommon lures that you use that most people don't know about? Not really, Trent, because I've got nothing to hide when it comes to fishing in general. Everyone would know by now that I run a camera at every tournament and it's on the boat. There's no lies when you're running the camera full time. I don't have any sort of secret squirrel stuff. You can change colors, you can dip plastics, you can draw on things with texture, all those little hints and tips that might help. But actually in lures themselves, I tend to stick with what works, and stump jumpers work, Bassman spinnerbaits work, TN60s work. So I do trick up a few things here and there, but there's no sort of secret squirrel stuff going on. I'm working on some unconventional stuff. I'm now that the tournament scene for me takes a big break for 3 or 4 months, so I'm going to work on some techniques, especially out of the States and Japan, and that we're not using in Australia, or not many people are. Some drop shotting, some Texas rigging. Football jigs are huge for the bass and have been for years, but I've been working on some prototypes for some football jigs for cod. Spoon fishing again for the bass has been huge. I'm going to work on some massive flutter spoons that I've got from the States for their largemouth. I'm going to have a fiddle with that sort of stuff, but there's nothing at this point in time that people don't know about. As I said, the camera's on, so the camera always rolls. All right. Good questions, guys. This is awesome. I'll keep pumping through them. All right. With Malwala, one of your home dams, what's your opinion on the drawdown of the lake and how's it going to fish after? Great question, Luke. I think for sure it's a must. I was in places over the weekend. It was blowing fairly strong. We had all sorts of weather over the weekend. We had rain, we had heavy rain, we had wind, we had sun. It come and went all weekend, and there was areas that you wanted to get to. You couldn't even push through on the electric motor. It was too thick. So the drawdown will help. Obviously, it's there to kill the weed. When that weed's all gone, those fish, I strongly believe, and we talked about Ricky a few weeks ago, will push back up onto those flats and sit around those snags, but you'll be able to get up there and chase them. So I think it's a good thing. I really do. And I think the fishing is going to go off its head. Close season, if we all stay off it for close season, it'll be awesome. Next year, it'll be just, an insane fishery. And as Tony Bennett from Fish Camp Ski always says, the premier cod dam in Australia, I believe that wholly and solely. And it'll go off its chops next year for sure. Brad's got one here. Are you liking the way the lake is fishing with weed at the moment, or more excited to do? Yeah, well, exactly what we just talked about. I'm more excited what's going to happen after the weeds died. There is something that's happened over the last couple of years. There's been a massive influx. Look at the stats from the teens fishing comp on the weekend for how many of those 40 to 50 centimetre fish were caught. They must have spawned, I don't know the growth rates, they must have spawned a couple of years ago. So, that has been a good thing, and the weed gives them somewhere to hide. But in the same thing, once that weed's gone, we'll be able to target fish and get into areas we haven't been able to fish for ages. So I am looking forward to after the drawdown for sure. All right, Bo. Do you leave your drags set after fishing, or do you take the tension off your drags when you're running down after a comp meet? Yeah, all right. So, no, I don't. It's not a habit that I get into, and I've got a few bad habits, and that is one of them. My suggestion is definitely do it. Take that pressure off those drags. I think it's more important in rusty water when when you're doing all that saltwater stuff that you would be fishing around, that brackish water, stuff like that would be a definite. But I'm not in the habit of doing it. I should be, but sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and you make some mistakes when you're thinking about everything else. But it is something you should do for sure, though. Another one from Christy. Did your choice of locations and techniques change much throughout the 3 days, especially with the wind on day 2? Yes, definitely it did change, not so much for day 2, but it changed over the weekend. So as I said earlier, pre-fish we caught them on spinner baits, and then day 1 we struggled. We had to adapt, we had to change. The biggest change was not really in the, say, our lures. We fished a lot up the river, especially the Ovens River. We didn't do much up the Murray. I haven't done much up the Murray myself. I know you guys went up, but with the wind on day 2, I decided to start from within the car. So we drove around to Major's boat ramp and put in at Major's. And to tell you the truth, on the way that it worked out, we were loading the boat when about the third big boat went past us. So we really didn't lose that much ground by loading around there. It was just saving the gear, bouncing up and down, and all the chaos with all the mad guys running and wakes and everything else. So change of location. Well, we were already fishing up the river, but definitely we launched the boat elsewhere for sure. Hope that answers that one. There you go. Well, I shared information on the weekend. That's awesome to hear, Trent. I'm glad you got those yellows in the bag. People shared information with us. I always share information. If you're wanting information, all you got to do is ask. I will give information. I don't keep many secrets. All right. Keep going through. There's a heap of, looks like a heap of people. Daniel, what's on the calendar for the next month? I am social fishing. I am going to spend a lot of time out on the water by myself, or with Harry, or with mates. But it's for me, I've got this big break to save for the end of the year. I've got a massive end of the year. I'm going to shoot over and do, I think early June is a Central Wick lure cast as a Turrumbry. I haven't been to Turrumbry for years, so I'm going to go over there and fish that one. But in general, for the pro comps, I'm not going to Queensland to do the Kenya round. So I've got a big break in all the long travels. I'm not doing a Glenbourne or anything until the end of the year. So at the end of the year, I've got the teams fishing round at Glenbourne. Then I'm actually taking some leave at the end of the year. So I'm going to Glenbourne to fish the teams fishing Australia. Then I'm having a week off fishing up the coast until I get to the Clarence River for the ABT Grand Final, which is at the end of the year. I've already qualified for that. Then I'm going to drive all the way back from Clarence to home to work for a week. And then I'm off to the Barra Tour for a 2-week stint up at Mackay. So I've got to save me bickies, so it'll all be local stuff going forward from here, Daniel. Yeah, Brad, I think some of these questions that are coming in are awesome because I've already got to a lot of the other ones. But from the ski club to Majors, how long does it take in the boat via water? I didn't really time it, but as I said, loads of the fast boats on the weekend, we actually got up there about the same time as them. So, yeah, I couldn't exactly tell you how. I think it was 13 minutes or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, there you go. Brad was 14th without scope. There you go. That's awesome. Aaron's, how bloody awesome was the live scoreboard? Yeah, it was. I know while I was driving, my coies didn't have the phones out of their hand watching it. So, yeah, that's how interesting. And I don't know if Galvo's on there with the stats, but that's the way it goes. G'day, Adrian. Hey, Kat, how would you rate the Ghost trolling motor against other motors you've owned? It's the easy answer is it's the best I've had. It's quiet. It's just really, really strong in how it feels and works. I love the. It took me a while to get used to going back to cable steer. I had Motor Guide XI5s since they first come out, so it took me a while to get used to the cable steer. But I could not fault it. I would love it to be warranted in salt water, but in the grand scheme of things, what I do, it's not an issue. So yeah, the Ghost trolling motor is by far a beast of a thing, and I don't use it to my full advantage. A lot of the younger guys that get this equipment, if they use it to their full advantage, you know, I still haven't even set up my hotkeys for it. But yeah, most of the time, I've got a FPV 75 amp hour. FPV 50 amp hour 24 volt battery running the Ghost. And I can tell you, when I get back to camp on the generator, it only takes about half an hour to fill that battery back up. It uses bugger all juice. So strongly suggest if you've got Lowrance gear on your boat and you want something to work really well with it, definitely get one for sure. Gov has answered the question here. All but 2 boats on live sonar. 3 to 4 of the biggest were caught with live sonar. Casting swim baits. There you go. Mark, I think I answered that one earlier. No, I'm not doing the trip to Kenya. I just don't have the finances to do that, mate. So it is my favourite bass dam in Australia, and I'm going to be watching it with great anticipation, seeing if Langers can get a top 5 and win the AOY. That's for sure. Scotty, my daughter Haley caught her first wild creek bass on the weekend. After an hour of nothing but follows, we put on some Dizzy Scent, and that's one from Chewin the Fat last year. Instant strike, huge smiles. That's awesome to hear. That's really cool. I know you're an avid follower of the show, and Ricky Doyle from Jones Doyle Plumbing donated a heap of prizes early last year, and some of that was Dizzy Scent. So we did give that away on the show. That's awesome to hear. Thanks for that, Scott. Keep working down. Better do the postcode prize. Keep the questions coming in. We want to keep going. I'll see if Harry sent through the postcode prize so I can get that up and done. No. Yes, here we go. All right, the postcode prize this week. As I said, I'm going to do the postcode. I'll do a second prize, and then I'll do Harry's wheel right at the end. So the first prize, or the postcode prize, is going to Jeremy Campbell. I'm just writing this down so I don't forget. And that's 2680. 2680. So, Jeremy, you've won the postcode prize. You need to send me your postal address to Corey's Dam Fishing. Just as a message is fine, and I will post that out to you. All right? So, we'll keep going. I'll get Harry out in a minute. I've got to have a drink. Oh, it's hard to talk for an hour non-stop. All right, David, do you ever leave the boat at home and just go bank fishing? I do bank fish, yes. Very rarely will I leave the boat at home. I will always take the boat. Sometimes I don't put it in the water, but it does carry all my gear. So to answer your question, Harry and I do love to go and sit on the Murray River somewhere, light a fire, throw some baits in, and just sit back and relax around the fire, cook some marshmallows, cook a camp oven dinner, or, you know, we get the tomahawk out and have tomahawk throwing competitions when mum's not around, all that sort of fun stuff that we all did as kids. So yes, I do do a lot of bank fishing when I can, when I'm not tournament fishing. And I've got no problem with putting a bit of chicken or cheese on and going out there and fishing that way. But generally, I will always tow the boat with me just in case. So hope that answers your question, that it's not all. I generally don't walk banks in the sense of go and find some little streams or backwaters and walk, say, the back end of the Campaspe River or something like that. I generally don't do anything like that, but I'll go and find a campsite where I can fish off the river for sure. Trent saying 48 minutes from the ski club to Jacob's Reserve. So that was at the from the ski club. Trent was fishing right. He was doing the opposite to us. So he went up the Murray Arm. We went up the Ovens Arm. We went to Parolis, which was the end of the tournament section in the Ovens, and Jacob's Reserve was the end of the Murray River Arm. So it was 48 minutes from one end of the tournament scene to the other. So that's with the 70 horse. So thanks for that feedback, Trent. That's awesome. And Ryan's also, yeah, Ryan's also put here, it took us 7 minutes to get back from the ski club from Ski Land on the last day. That was, what would you probably, if you knew where you're going, you'd probably add another 5 minutes on that to get to the boat ramp, I suppose. Oh, Shane, you're asking all the right questions tonight. Obviously, I've talked about it, and I love my little Bass Pro, and I have fished 3-up in it a few times, and really don't notice a lot of difference in the sense of how it goes. I can tell you it stages over the weekend when we were out of the wind and got some flat water. We were doing 74, 75 Ks an hour. Which is, a few Ks down on normal. I can normally get it to around 80, but unloaded will do 90. But in the sense of putting the third person in the boat, we're still cranking out that 75 K an hour mark. So fishability. Ryan and Nelson both said they felt comfortable in the boat over the weekend, and it's not something that you'll see in the footage that I'll release on YouTube on Monday, that we had stages where all three of us were standing up watching the scope. We separated throughout the day, some down the back and whatnot. So no, it went really good. Come in, Harry. Come in. Brad, do you scent on your lures? Here's Harry. Must be ready for his segment. So Brad wants to know, do you scent on your lures when your fishing is slow? The answer is yes. I do use scent. I use scent a lot. If you want to find my favorite, it's actually a spray. It's not a lube. I do love S Factor in the tube. There's no problem about that. The Gold scent is really cool too, but my go-to scent for my lures is actually an Eggy Max spray. So that spray in itself comes in an aerosol can. You can get it in standard and a UV colored spray as well. So I just find it easier and less messy in the spray can, and it's always on the deck of my boat. But I do have, a big Tupperware box full of all different scents and scent pens and dips and glows and all that sort of stuff. When it is slow, I will try anything, that's for sure. Aaron said, nice hat, Harry.
Oh, yes, thank you.
All right, keep your questions coming in for sure. We've got to give away another prize. So I'm going to do 2 lots of Harry's Wheel tonight, or I'm still calling Harry's Wheel from last time, Harry's Box, pick a box. So we're going to do 2 lots tonight because Yeah, we'll grab one first. So hang on a sec. So we've got to pick somebody first. But last week, Harry actually had to set up all by himself in the office here. Leave it closed. Don't let it. We can't let anyone out. Harry set up in the studio here and did the show all by himself. So I was quite impressed with his effort getting all logged in and getting on the show last week. So I said to him, we'll do 2 prizes because you did such a good job last week. All right. So the questions that come through earlier, so we're going to pick some questions, but don't forget to leave us a couple of questions to finish off on. I've got to go back to the start. There were some really cool ones. Luke Gilbert, Luke was on there. He asked the one about the drawdown. So Luke, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a couple of minutes to comment in the comment box that you're still on air, and then we'll ask you whether you want to take what Harry's drawn out of here or what's in the picker box. So Harry, you can draw one out while we're waiting to see if Luke's still on the show, and we'll go back through. As I said, we've got we're going to do another one. Can you fit your arm in there?
Yeah, the suit. It's the suit, not my arm. I'm not that.
So this, we've just got to wait for Luke to see if he's still on there. Don't show the camera. All right,
This way.
that's all right. So we're just waiting a couple of minutes to see if Luke's on there. As I said, you've got to be on to win it. So if you're not on there and you haven't answered, I know there's a delay. They say it's live. There's a delay of about 3.5 minutes generally for my show.
What is that?
So I just got to wait that little bit of time. While we're waiting for Luke to jump on, Daniel Wallace has asked, how many rods do you have in your armory? I really don't want to answer that. Well, my missus is watching the show inside. No. In general, for cod, I'll have 2 swim bait rods, 1 large plastic rod, and then I have 2 lighter rods in the bait casters, and I'll always run 2 heavier spin rods if I'm throwing long surface or something like that. So that hopefully that answers your question on what I've actually got in the boat. We're still waiting for Luke. We're going to give him about 10 seconds to put his name in there. Otherwise, I'll pick another question from earlier. And then we'll pick another question from later in the show. So let's going back through. We've got to make sure you're on to win the prizes. That's the only way it goes. There's a good one there. Good question. I'll get to that, Christy, very shortly. Now I hope. Just check that there's no. Luke hasn't got the hat on me. Don't fit. My head's too fat.
Yeah, it doesn't fit on me either.
There was a good question before about fishing on the bank, leaving the boat home. David Fitzellen. I can't read that properly. Harry, is that Fitzellen? FITZA.
I don't want to be offensive, so I'm not going to say it.
David, if you're on, you need to write in the comments that you're on and you want to win this prize that Harry's picked out of the box. So as I said, we've got 2 of these to do. David, if you're on, you need to write in, yes, Harry, and we know what's going on. While we're doing that, we'll get to Christy's question. As one of only a handful of anglers, yes. All right, David. Now, what you have to do, mate, that you're on, I'll come back to your question, Christy. That's awesome that you're still on. So you're going to win a prize no matter what. What you need to tell us, David, is whether you want to take what's in this box or whether you want to take what's Harry's drawn. So the original draw or what's in the picker box. So you need to tell us which one you want.
Can I pick me on it?
Pick me on it? No. So we're just got to wait for David to tell us which one he wants, and we will go from there. So we have to give it a little bit of delayed time. Here we go. The box. He wants what's in the box. Let's see what's in the box. Okay, David, I have to say, this is only the second time the box has been picked. The first time somebody won a reel, the first time they picked the box. That goes back into there. And everything lives in the box is yours, which is actually this week. I have to say, we've had it in there for a couple of weeks. It is a booby prize, David. It is a bucket hat and stubby cooler for you. So there you go. So you've won yourself a bucket hat and a stubby cooler. You'll be able to sit around the campsite, keep the sun off your ears, and keep your beers cold, mate. So yeah, there you go. That's what's in the box. We'll put that there. You need to send me a message to my Facebook page, David, with your address details so I can post that out to you. So let's go with, I've got to refill the box, Harry. I'm going to bring Christy's question up here. Excuse me, Harry.
Oh, I get to run the show now.
Go over and talk to everyone.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? So, yeah, I'm lost for words.
Oh, you're not running the show very good. I've got to refill the box. Did I put a booby prize in the box?
I don't know.
Or
is
it another good one? All right. So, here we go. We're going to do 2 of these tonight, as I said. So, we're going to get to Christy's question and put a couple of more questions in if you can, so we can do them when we finish off. But Christy's got, as one of only a handful of anglers on the weekend, do you see many other ladies fishing any of the tournaments you enter? The answer is no, there's not enough women in tournaments. I think there are certain tournaments that suit women a little bit better. And I'm not sexist when I'm saying that, because I believe that most women are better fishermen than men. My partner, Nikki, always outfishes me when she comes fishing. But I think it's all got to do with comfort levels for toilet situations. So in a Bass Pro, there's a few ladies, and one of them actually was on watching earlier on. And they've really sussed it out over the years, and they have to work on their liquid intake and stuff like that, because it's very hard for a lady to pee off the back of the boat. So it's very hard. I always say to the ladies on my boat that I'll take you back to the toilets if you want to, or take you to the bank, just let me know. But yeah, it becomes an issue in that sense. But when you're like a team's fishing comp like this one, when you're fishing with somebody you know or your partner, it makes it a lot easier. So I know Tony does a his and hers at the end of the year, which is quite successful. So I'd love to see more ladies out in the scene, and as so much that come the end of the year, we've talked about it before, but I'm doing my ambassador program. We've got the juniors on board, Bill on board, Kev on board. We've talked about it through the show. We are going to do a ladies ambassadors program at the end of the year, and that will include the use of a boat for the period of time. So yes, I hope that that you're a school teacher. It's it's very hard for that situation, that's for sure.
Question for me.
There you go. Galvo said, yeah, Kate, I mentioned that earlier in the show. Kate with a personal best, 90.5 on day 2 for the biggest fish. Scotty's got a question for you, Harry. Is competition fishing... I'll start that again. Is competition fishing something you're looking forward to later on, following in your dad's footsteps?
I like fishing for fun.
Fishing for fun, that's it. So
although if I do catch a meter cod, I wish it was a competition.
in a comp, yeah. So Harry is a member of the Meter Club. We've talked about that on the show before. We do fish a couple of comps together, don't we? We definitely do the Ngambie comp together, and we have a ball doing that. You lure casted this year for the first time. Very impressed with that. But in general, I think it was David asking the question about bank fishing earlier on. We do love to go, light the fire, put the bells on the rods and sit back and relax. So that's for sure.
That's how I caught them.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's where we were fishing on the weekend. We caught the meter cod. We were looking for it. All right. Just going back through the questions and see who's question that's going to do the second draw.
I really want to draw the prize.
You can draw it out.
Yay.
I'm going to make sure they're still on. So it's going to go to David. I think it was David Baker who asked the Byron Jock question. I couldn't answer that in great detail. David Baker. If you're still on, David, you've got to let us know. Oh, cool.
I do not know which one
Yep,
it is.
I've got that here.
Oh, you do?
Yep. So, David, if you're still on, you need to write in the comments that you're still on, and you're probably easier to just tell us straight away whether you want what Harry's drawn or what's in the picker box. So we've refilled it. All right. So while we're waiting for David to, can you not do that, please? While we're waiting for David, we'll get this one. Jason, g'day, mate. My missus Deb has fished ABTs 15 plus years, and every boater has been more respectful of tournament. Yes, and it's true, it is. But I can understand that people get a bit nervous about having to pee while they're out on the boat. That's for sure. And to answer your question that you sent me the text today, that Plano tackle box that you sent to Kevin that won on the show actually turned up today. So that's really cool that you helped us out with that one. And yes. All right. David doesn't seem to be on. We've given him plenty of time to answer. David Baker, we were asking the question of, we've still got plenty on. So I'll go back, see who's still on. I'll pick one from later on because everyone sort of drops off.
Who did we do just then?
David Baker, we did.
I thought we did Fitzgerald then.
Yeah, that was the earlier one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just picked David as the second one.
I'm confused. Too many Davids.
We're going to go, I'm going to give it to Shane Eastman. He asked a question earlier on. So Shane Eastman, if you're still on the show, you need to write in the comments whether you want to take what's in Harry's drawn out of here or what's in the box. So while we're doing that, I'll answer a few questions while we're waiting for Shane to log in and do that. Daniel, what's the best tip you can give someone for starting out lure fishing? What's the best tip? Don't overcomplicate it. All right, make it as basic as what you can. And we talk about it all the time. Doc talk. You'll read on Facebook. You'll see all this other stuff. People will tell you that you've got to buy this or you've got to buy that. Don't overcomplicate it, mate. If you're just starting out, I always say on the show, buy the best that you can possibly afford. All right, so get a decent rod and reel combo. You don't need millions of rods and reels. Just get one, set it up, and cast, catch, and repeat. So you've just got to keep.
Hey.
All right, Shane's still there. There you go.
Hey.
And he said he'll go with Harris. All right, don't do it yet. Don't do it. We just finished Daniel's question. So the best tip is, and somebody's already written in there, Barry, patience. Just keep practicing. Don't just practice on the water. Practice at home. If you're just picking up a bait caster, put a bucket out in the backyard, and just keep casting. All right, just try and land it, get your cast accurate, and then you'll be able to get that bait where you're supposed to get it when you're casting. That's for sure. Barry says, "Love your work, Harry."
Yay!
Everyone loves your
Happy
work.
now.
All right, Shane's still there. So you drew a new one out, didn't you?
I think so.
All right, and he said he'll go with Harry. So
You said I'll have it.
I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah, it's all good. So Kevin Beans Fishing has donated this prize. So I'll get rid of that off the screen. All right, Kevin Beans Fishing has donated this prize for you, Shane, and we can get rid of that now. And it's actually some Jig Pro. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's a lot.
All right, there's 6, and they're football jigs. All right, so the Jig Pro football jigs, there's 6 of them in there. That was donated by Kevin Beans Fishing, and they're yours, Shane. So we've got, just write this down. What you need to do, Shane, is send your details. I think you won a couple of prizes on the show before, but send your details again through to Corey's Dam Fishing, and I will get that out to you. David, you need to send your details through to Corey's Dam Fishing as well, so I can send your stuff out. And Jeremy Campbell earlier on with the postcode prize. Thanks very much. High five. Good work.
I love you all, but not in a romantic way.
Love you all, but not in a romantic way. There you go, mate. You go and get ready for bed. We're just about done here. I'm just going to go through see if there's any final questions. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. If there's no more questions come through in the next minute or so, as I said, I'll try and get the Skiers boys out. Yes, I'll try and get the Skiers boys on the next couple of weeks. Even get Loomsy on. He caught the biggest yeller over the weekend. I'll try and get Derek and Cade on over the next couple of weeks, and we'll chat to them about what they did. Hopefully they'll, what it's like with Mitch and Nath. They do love to chat and have a bit of a talk. So just going through, making sure I got to everyone's questions, and it looked like I did. There's no late questions that have come in. So thanks again for watching tonight. This is Chewin the Fat for another week. We'll see you next Wednesday night with a guest. I'll have time to organise somebody. So thank you all for watching, and